Hello, and welcome to this little channel. Thank you everyone for supporting the channel up until now. Today we will continue the story of Suzuki Satoru as Ain't Soul Gown in the New World.
As though Ains was a heteromorph with negative karma who just stepped into Ulfheim. Don't mind us. Continue with your lunch. A few here and there, mostly the regular maids, started eating again upon hearing what Ains said, but there was no indication that their conversations were going to start again. Everyone ate in silence. Ains did not want to interrupt their lunch at all. He started to feel a bit isolated, but, well, on second thought, it's not like he couldn't understand their feelings. If a CEO who had never visited till now suddenly appeared in the cafeteria, it would probably turn out like this. Suzuki Satoru would likely do the same in this situation. Perhaps it would have been different if this company was a lot smaller, the kind where the distance between the boss and the employees was much closer. That's probably impossible in this case though. It would be extremely difficult to suddenly change his image as the admirable dictator Ainz Sama into one of an Ainz and that was loved by everyone. Maybe if everyone found out he was an idiot, such a change could be possible. But he would not be able to bear it if he ended up getting scorned instead, which was unlikely. Well then, let's enter. Turning back to the party, he tried to observe the elves' reactions discreetly. He didn't even need to observe them much, they were clearly shriveling up. Understandable. They should have noticed the harmonious mood in the cafeteria before Aintz's arrival. This was what he meant by the sudden heteromorph in Ulfheim. He couldn't think of a way to solve this. Perhaps they will get used to this over time. Ains walked into the cafeteria with such optimistic thoughts. He didn't want to make the maids even more tense, so he approached a random table far from them and pointed at the seat opposite his. You can sit there. The elves started looking at each other with troubled expressions. It looked like they were trying to decide who was going to be stuck with the onus of sitting in front of Ains. He was probably right in thinking that. I see. Maybe elven customs are different from ours, so let's just keep this informal and not worry about those things. He tried to give them a way out by acting like he interpreted their hesitation differently. It would not be good if they hesitated too much. He was also a bit afraid of the twins' reaction if they hesitated too much. You there, sit opposite of me. Ains pointed at the elf standing at the back. If he remembered correctly, she never stood in the middle of the elves. So he thought it was fair that she should be the one who was going to be stuck with him. Honestly speaking, he did not want to be treated like some kind of baggage. That said, as someone who understood their feelings all too well, he decided to be practical. It was quick after that. The seats beside the specified elves were immediately taken. Aura and Mary sat beside Ains. He wanted to say many things about the fact that Lumiere was standing behind him, but decided to bottle it up in the end. Now then, sorry, but this is my first time using the cafeteria, so explain to me a bit about how it works at this hour. Ains asked Lumiere because as a regular maid she should have used the cafeteria just like how her fellow maids were doing now. First things first, yes, I want to order drinks, so is there something like a menu? There are free drinks and a buffet system at this time. We are supposed to get the drinks and a simple salad from over there by ourselves. Looking at where Lumiere was pointing at, he could see a row of pitchers that seemed to hold the drinks. Beside them were multiple chafing dishes. And you can also select one item from the lunch menu here. I see. As the chef is in the kitchen, I believe he will prepare any dish Ain't Sama wishes. Is that so? But there's no need. If there's a fixed lunch menu, let's just select something from there. Lumiere handed over a sheet of paper. A menu was printed on it, in Japanese. The elves probably wouldn't be able to read this. Also, ever heard of katsudon? Elves shook their heads to say no. Aura, Mary, what do these elves usually eat? Just the normal food. Why yes, and most of the time, it's the same as ours. In that case, did the twins never have katsudon? No, they were usually getting their meals served by the delivery service, and they should also be able to make it by themselves. Have you never eaten katsudon? No, we have had it before. It's probably just that they don't know its name. Ah, so it's something like that. The menu did not have any holograms attached to it, so it stood to reason that they couldn't match the appearance with the name. Ains wanted to ask for the chef's recommendation, but fearing the situation in which he would be told that everything was recommended, he decided against it. Here, that reminds me, do you normally eat meat? After he saw the elves nod, Ains selected an item from the menu. Hamburg steak meals for everyone here. As for the sauces, you can select among the demi-glace, Japanese-style sauce, or cream mustard sauce. You can also select rice or bread to go along with it. How about bread and demi-glace? He could understand the demi-glace and the Japanese-style sauces, but he wondered what the cream mustard would taste like. The fact that he couldn't taste them himself due to his body was regrettable. Okay. Why yes, it's okay for me too. Following the twins' energetic voices, the elves also nodded quickly in tow. It looked like there were no objections. Then, that will be my order. Phew, Ainz breathed out. It didn't look like Lumiere was going to head to the kitchen to relay the order. Ainz wondered why. Perhaps someone who was working here would come over to receive their order. What about the drinks, Ainz-sama? I forgot about that. Everyone can go and get what they like. That should be fine, right? Yes, then I will bring over Ainz-sama's drink myself. What shall it be? Something suitable. No, give me a hot coffee. Understood. The others went to the table with the drinks with Aura at their lead. Elsewhere, the kitchen suddenly became noisy after Lumiere went over there and said something. As he continued to look, someone came out from the kitchen. A giant cleaver hung by his waist, a wok on his back, a slovenly, naked torso with fresh meat tattooed on it, and finally, a gold chain around his neck. Though his face may look like an orc's, he was an orc, a similar species that was much closer to wild beasts. There was a pure white toque on his head and a pure white apron around his waist. This man was the area guardian of the cafeteria, and the head chef himself, Shihautu Takatu. Shihautu Takatu quickly ran over to Ainz and kneeled. Won't the chef's clothes get dirty? Is what Ainz thought upon seeing that. Ainz-sama, we welcome you. It's been a long time, Shihautu Takatu. I am glad to see that you are the same as ever. Though Ainz said that he looked the same, the last time he met him was just after they were teleported here, back when he visited all the NPCs. Since it had been so long, he was not exactly confident in noticing changes if there were any. No, maybe you are slightly thinner now. If Ainz-sama thinks so, then it is so. That's not what I meant. Ainz swallowed his words. I noticed the absence of Ainz-sama's order among the ones the maid relayed. I get it now. A masculine smile, though he couldn't be sure as he did not understand orc expressions, welled up on Shihautu Takatu's face. No, you don't get it at all, Ainz thought. Was he ever actually understood even once in such situations? Regrettably, he didn't think so. I am to prepare food suitable for a supreme being, for the absolute ruler of Nazareth, Ainz-sama. While Ainz was muttering there he goes, in his mind, Shihautu Takatu stood up with vigor and shouted in the kitchen's direction. From now on it's do or die. A dish suitable for Ainz-sama. A food festival that won't stop for at least a week begins. Ooh, the sounds of admiration rose from the maids who were listening. Oi, wait. Shihautu Takatu returned back to Ainz and kneeled again. It was hard to say this to someone shouting I am going to do it. I am going to do it. With all their might. Ainz generally thought that he should go along with what NPCs wanted, but this was a bit too much for him. It looks like you are misunderstanding something. Just to be sure, you do know that I can't eat food as an undead, right? So we are to make something that can be enjoyed by sight and smell. That is what Ainz-sama has in mind. Understood. Ainz replied to Shihautu Takatu while he was trying to stand back up. Oi, wait. Don't be hasty. I am trying to say that I can't eat, so don't waste any ingredients. What are you saying, Ainz-sama? Ingredients used for Ainz-sama cannot be considered wasted. Yes, Shihautu Takatu said as he stood up and turned towards the cafeteria. That brought about a round of applause. Not just the maids but even Aura and Mary joined in on it. The elves quickly followed the others in panic. You don't have to follow along, you know. Ainz grumbled internally. Well, I will start at once. Oi, wait. Ainz spoke honestly to the kneeling Shihautu Takatu. I am going to be frank. I did not come here to eat. I came here to have an enjoyable conversation. I understand your expression of welcome to a suffocating extent, but I do not care for it that much. Can I get you to understand that I just want to have a calm conversation? Ainz could understand why Shihautu Takatu was filled with such fanatical motivation. Someone like the ruler of Nazareth, who couldn't possibly visit such a place, came today. He probably just wanted to give the best welcome possible, but that's not what Ainz was here for. Then let me reserve the whole place. Oi, wait. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. I will repeat myself, I only came here to have a little chat. There's no need to take things so far, understood? Ainz took a quick glance at the others, especially the elves, and found that they were just staring at him with serious expressions. The maids were already half away from their seats, prepared to leave at any time. The twins acted like this was just normal, while the elves seemed like they were afraid that the situation was going to get out of hand, even though he selected this place specifically because he didn't want the elves to feel like that. I am not being modest, that's really the reason why I came here. All of you may continue as usual. Please treat me like you would any other guest. But to treat a supreme being such as Ainz Sama in the same way as others. Ainz couldn't be faulted for using underhanded means if it came to this. He cleared his throat and shifted his tone to sound more serious. Shihao Takatu. I am saying that I want to see what this place usually looks like. If you have been diligent with your duties, you wouldn't have to do anything special now, correct? Or are you trying to show me something different from usual because you have something to hide? Shihao Takatu gulped and made an expression that was filled with resolve. A word please, Ainz Sama. This Shihao Takatu, who had been entrusted with this place by the supreme being Amanama Hitatsu, never did a single thing that would cause him shame. Of course, Shihao Takatu looked puzzled at Ainz's instant reply. Even though I have only interacted with you for a short while, I can see that you are devoted to your work and are truly loyal to the ones you call supreme beings. My words just now were quite thoughtless. I take them back and offer my apologies. Ainz bowed his head. Ainz Sama, please don't do that. A supreme being such as you bowing to me. Please lift your noble face. Ainz slowly raised his head and looked straight at Shihao Takatu. Shihao Takatu, I am glad that you accepted my apology, but I want you to know and understand. I just want to have a look at how you in this place are normally whilst holding a relaxed conversation. Just treat me like a normal guest. Shihao Takatu grumbled a bit, but he seemingly came to a compromise internally, and nodded. Understood. Is that so? That's great. A day may come when we will invite VIPs, important people from other places, to Nazareth. You may display your full talent at that time. I will be relying on you then. Be but something like bowing to the likes of me. My regret at deriding you was a large part of the reason why I did that, but you may also consider it as my apology to the Amanoma-san who trusted in you and entrusted you with this place. Shihao Takatu made a bitter smile, an expression of defeat at the face of such an explanation. But he immediately returned to his work face. Of course, all of the above was just what it looked like from Ainz's point of view. In that case, Ainz Sama, I will take my leave to work on the order. Ainz watched Shihao Takatu's back as he left and raised his voice a bit so that it would reach everyone in the cafeteria. Sorry for the disturbance, everyone. Well then, please continue dining without worry.